Hey, what's up, guys? Man, this is gonna be a regular purchase for me. Cinema retro, right there. Go ride to the movies of '60s and '70s, but you get to mid '50s and you get to early '80s in this as well. You know me, I'm a big horror movie fan. You know, kung fu movie fan, war movie fan, but I'm a fan of cinema in general. Okay, I like dramas. I like when we were younger, we watched everything, comedies. And in this magazine, especially, I want to give credence to something I usually don't: the layouts, the way that this particular magazine is laid out. And the better ones, you just have all this information, all these pictures, all the photos, art, the interview, just like, it's a very interesting layout, okay? And I don't talk about it enough in magazines. And I just get right into it. I tried to do this before, and it took too many. It had multiple chapters. I want to do this in one. So David McCollum passed away. Rest in peace, man. And pretty much, I'd say most everyone in this is dead. Right? It's a passage of time. It's not depressing. It's fine. It shows you what was a snapshot. An example in the news here. Apparently, Robert Shaw's son Ian wrote a play about the filming of Jaws. Like what? Shark is broken. A highly successful run in London's West End. So this is maybe coming over here, right? Now I'm not a playbill type of guy, but what is this? It's primarily a comedy, but there's a dramatic part of it. The dramatic, I guess, focus of it is that, of course, it's not not a it's not a secret that Robert Shaw is a notorious drunk. And it is because he's drunk, because he had the inability to deliver the most important dialogue, right? Because he's drunk. The scene concerns Quint's dramatic soliloquy, right? One of the best monologues in movie history, and that he couldn't do it because he was drunk the first time. Remember, Mr. Hooper use us in Indianapolis. Oh, shark come cruising, comes at you. Don't even seem like it's alive. It's got dead eyes, lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes. Yeah, and all the high pitched screaming and hollering. Sometimes you go away. Sometimes you wouldn't go away. Anyway, I don't know. It's like, would you stop, please? Of course, he atones for this. The scene, he gets the scene in the second take, which is probably, like I said, one of the most chilling things. He should have he should have got an Oscar, a nomination at the very least for that, man. Chilling. So, and I know the Zoomers are like, I don't understand it. I don't understand. I got my copy. You got yours. Hurry up. Yeah. Now going through here, yeah, this is interesting where the guy just talks about the trend of the '70s, like the rise of the blockbusters. Also, the fact that many of the maverick directors, many who were cultivated by the recently deceased Roger Corman, they had major hits in the things, and they had sophomore slumps like Martin Scorsese, right? Taxi Driver was big, but it flopped with his musical New York, New York. I never even heard of that. Are you really? And of course, Mr. Spielberg, he's a talented guy. Wasn't immune to failure. His big budget wartime comedy 1941 was a critical and box office dud. I actually like that movie. Yeah, I know you like that's it. And he's going down. Cancel my take your subscription off. Uh, and it's interesting too when you notice these films, right? Of course, The Godfather and The Exorcist need no introduction, but it's funny how big budget movies like Airport and The Towering Inferno, which I remember seeing on TV as a kid, these movies have not really, no one really remembers them much now. It's kind of interesting seeing what stood the test of time and what did it, man. And of course, oh man, Barry Lyndon, that's one of the best movies, man, ever made. But, going through Cross It Line, this is a continuation from the last issue. I thought it was funny, all the problems on the set. They filmed it in Yugoslavia, right? Upon arrival, Peckinpah had to discuss the fact that no German tanks were available at all. Well, most of them, were melted down to scrap or destroyed, and a few of them were taken, to museums and proving grounds. So he only had 3 Russian T-34 tanks for the big tank battle. But like I said, the 3 T-34s is better than no T-34s, unless you're actually German, the actual German military. I know it's a bad joke. It's funny too. I remember this film as a kid. I saw this on Channel 5 late at night. It's a very violent movie. Yeah. They must like shoot like 500 Russian soldiers in the movie. But I remember watching as a kid, not knowing my family history at that point. I had four male relatives die in that war, fighting the Soviets. And the other two survived, also fought the Soviets. One of them was my grandfather, but I had no idea. I said, "Ma, I saw this film." I was saying, when did Russia and Germany fight in World War II? I don't remember that because I'm an American. All I'm seeing is friggin' Americans, right? And my mother was like, "Oh no, no. Let me sit you down. No, let me talk to you about your family." That was interesting, and it was this movie that precipitated it. Maybe that's why I have this obsession. Yeah, and Cross the Line became a big financial hit. Now it's also interesting too when you look at the producers and the people involved. Okay, if these people had done the most evil thing in the universe that had ever existed, why are they making shows and movies about them in the '60s and the '70s? Why? I don't get it. Why would you even show a movie from their perspective? It's weird. It's something I can't figure out. And I'm very bad with my sarcasm today. Soundtrack reviews, of course, the great John Carpenter anthology movie themes. So anthology too. So I need to get my hands on this. And you see the people passing away. Man, Burt Young, man, rest in peace, dude. Actual real boxer, right? Not like Mr. Travolta, Mr. Stallone. Though Stallone's cool, man. I think he's underrated, believe it or not. But yeah, this guy. Remember, he goes, "Oh, I don't get upset. I don't get physical. I get upset. When I get upset, he gets physical." No, remember where that's from? Nah. I know, I'm really blowing my bona fides with this. Well, I'm a nuanced fella, and here's the posters. Now, this film, Michael York, interesting. Basically, it's like kind of like a spy thriller with the Germans. Where Michael York is kind of like the Willie Schultz character. He's a Scotsman, a German descent. Whoa, wow, you can imagine. That's like, and of course Elkie Summer. And it's interesting that he basically is a spy, and the film, of course, is the Zeppelin trying to attack Britain on a secret mission, though, more than just a bombing raid. And they actually had models. They had 70-foot long version for close-ups and a smaller 18-foot version for long shots. And cool. They remember, these are the lobby cards, man. These are huge now. The collector's market. Remember the Blue Marks? That was another great World War I era film. And just, it has a rather unconventional ending from what I've looked into. So definitely want to check this out. And it's interesting, too. I like how they show the miniature sets. I thought this was interesting also, the impressive model ship. The tank would be filled in the water poured over the edge so the real sea would appear to blend in. Now, when you see this, you usually think, oh, that's like the Toho movies. It's a painting, right? This set was actually set against the sea. That's fascinating, yeah. Of course, you go here with the Franco Zeffirelli, it's a homosexual creep. But I of course the Romeo and Juliet was always on TV, but I never saw this one with, of course, the real life couple here of Elizabeth Taylor and Robert Burton, Richard Burton, excuse me, Robert Burton. What the hell? And the fascinating thing about this film, which I have not seen yet, is that everything was filmed indoors. All the exterior shots, right, painted backdrop, it was all done with these special lights. So everything was shot indoors. That's fascinating. Real quick, if you want to see, I know I'm going off on a tangent. We're bringing up Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. If you want to see probably one of the funniest comedy skits, in my opinion, one of the top 10, watch Benny Hill. When Benny Hill does a skit where he plays both Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, and through clever editing and just it's a comedy toward the force, okay, of acting and editing, and just it's friggin' hilarious. You'll see it on YouTube, man. So it's just my little 2 cents here. And this film, The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. I don't know who Billy Wilder is. I'm not familiar with him. So apparently this film is really weird because this guy was sort of a tyrant on the set. He wanted all these things done perfectly. supposed to be like a collection of stories, like almost like an anthology of adventures for Mr. Holmes and Watson. But in the end, they didn't use half of it. That's kind of strange with all the control that this guy had. That in the end, he had to cut the film. So, and of course, it's interesting. The right, Mr. Wilder, he says he wanted essentially. Wilder was clear. He wanted to make Holmes a homosexual. Okay, why? Unfortunately, or unfortunately, you could argue if it's fortunately, Adrian Conan Doyle, who represented his father's estate, would not allow it. I can't imagine why. So, I mean, come on, man. One of the things that's interesting about this is Christopher Lee is in this. He gives a scene-stealing performance as Sherlock's pompous brother, Mycroft. So it's interesting. Apparently, this guy was a stage actor. He was picked for that, and this was filmed at Pinewood. But I mean, this time period, I love it. I really would like to check this film out. It also doesn't shy away from, more importantly to me, Sherlock Holmes' drug use in this, apparently. And of course, the idea of forced perspective, where they made like London streets out of this little area here in Pinewood, legendary film studio. Forced perspective. I had brought that up before. The editing of it too apparently was the editor. It was done really well. It was done to edit really quickly. And of course, the famous scene. Apparently, there is a Loch Ness monster in it, which looks kind of silly, but apparently was actually a cover for a submarine that was a weapon that they were developing. Right? Interesting. That's fascinating. Hey, what's up? Now, also, it's interesting too. The original model of this creature sank, and they had to make another one. And apparently, that model was found years later when they were searching for the actual Nessie, and they found something they thought looked like it, and it was the prop from this film. They found it like 40, 50 years later. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's interesting too. Holmes meets Queen Victoria, who has arrived to inspect the new weapon, but she objects to its unsportsmanlike nature and orders the exasperated Mycroft to destroy it. What, you dumb... What? Can you imagine? Well, it's okay. It helps the Germans. I'm good with that. Look at that, Mr. Lee, man. You're awesome, dude. So, yeah, look, you got the Japanese poster. Look how cool that is, man. So the Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. I wonder if I could find this film on YouTube. I know it's like public domain. Books. Of course, Roger Corman, I mentioned, had passed away. Big fan of Roger Corman. Almost never lost money on a movie. Teenage Caveman, I told you. The Day the World Ended. I love those old movies, but when he got serious, when he got some money, he made some of the best horror films. The Poe films. Many of them with Vincent Price, and they are. I mean, I don't have to talk about them. If you haven't seen them, you gotta see them. This Midnight Movie Monographs, Bride of Frankenstein. So you get in depth, you get in depth, and of course decadent. Right? 12 chapters covering censorship, the astonishing hair, makeup, costume design, the pioneering use of sound, readings of sexuality. Oh God, the many films of the year which draw elements of Bride of Frankenstein. That is a great movie, though. So, but you see, you start to get real in depth for the film nerds. And this is take two. What is this? Some film of Paul Newman that's very much forgotten. Right now, once again, like this, Newman, the protagonist, are right wing and anti-union. Newman was a left. He was a left wing guy. No way. He's on Nixon's enemies list. Oh, that evil Nixon, that got us out of Vietnam. Anyway, I'll have to do an addendum vid, so I guess I failed, but not as badly as I thought. And like the Pinewood, man, look at that place, man. Pinewood, Shepperton, right? These are the famous UK studios, man. Like mini cities, way cooler than Hollywood. But anyway, let me do an addendum vid to finish this up properly. What an amazing magazine.